In this next video, I'm going to talk about how to set up initial size grids. To set up your size grids, you have to be at the top level organization. And this is just the very first time that you set up a size grid. So to get there, you're going to click on Setup and Manage Grids. This will bring you into the Manage Grids screen. And this first example that I'm going to give you, I'm going to set up a men's shoe grid. And I'm going to do the smallest size to the largest size. So your first step is to the right of grid description. We're going to click and we're going to type in the description of this size grid. So as you can see, I typed in men's shoes 5 to 20. So the smallest size would be 5 and the largest size would be 20. And we're going to treat this as a column for the grid access type. And we're going to click on the Create button. And now you see over to the right where it says men's shoes 5 through 20. Now we're going to start adding our sizes. So to the right of add a grid value, we're going to type in the first size, which is a 5. And then we're going to click on the Add button. We're going to do the next size and click on Add. And we're going to keep going until we have all of the sizes added to this size grid that we want. Now I have my entire size grid from smallest size to the largest size. And you'll see that I made a couple mistakes here. It's really easy to modify items that you've done incorrectly. So for example, I have the size 8 after, one more mistake, 8.6. So if I click on 8.6, I can easily go to the edit and just change it to the correct size and just click on rename. Now you'll see that the 8.6 changed to 8.5. The other mistake is I have in order 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8.5, 8. So I really need to move the 8 up. So if I click on the 8, and then up here I can click on the up arrow, and that will move that 8 up one. So I can rearrange the order of the sizes if I need to. And if I scroll down just to double check, I see that I have 12, 12.5, 13, 13.5, 14. Now normally you don't have size 13.5s, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that because I don't need it. So I can click on the 13.5 and I can click on this red X and that will delete that. So as long as there's no history attached to sizes, you can go ahead and delete them. And even if there is history, you can move them around in the right order if you need to, so that way they're all in numerical order. So we have the edit. So if I clicked on a size, that brings that size down to the edit, so I could rename that if I needed to, just by changing it and click on rename. I could use the up or the down arrow keys to move that size down or move that size up to get it in the right area. Or I could also click on the red X and that would delete that size altogether. I could also rename the name of the grid. If I spelled something wrong or if I want it to be a little bit different, I can click on where it says men's shoes 5 to 20. Again, it brings it to the edit field and I can type in something else here and click on rename. Once I have my size grid exactly how I like it, then I can click on the save button down at the bottom. So that was a column type grid with the sizes for the shoes. Now let's say I want to create a width type size grid also for shoes. Like I want to do the narrow, medium, wide type grid. So again, to the right of grid description, I'm going to type in the description that I want. And now since this grid is a row type grid, we're going to click to the right of grid access type on the drop down and I'm going to choose row. And I'm going to click on the Create button. Now I can start adding the sizes that I want. Type in the size, click on the Add button. Type on the next size, click on the Add button. And I keep doing that until I have completed my grid. And again, it's really easy to edit it if you need to. If you needed to edit the name of the grid, you'll see that this is the name of the grid to the right of Edit. You can change it and click on Rename. If I want to move these around, I can click on the particular size that I want to move, and maybe I want to move that up, or I can also move that down. Or if I decide I want to delete something, I can just click on the size that I want to delete. Again, it shows it up in the Edit, and I can click on the X, and that will delete that. If I decide I want to put that in now, I can click on the name of the size grid, put in the size, add it. It adds it to the end, so I just need to move that up. So I can click on that size, and that puts it in. So whatever's highlighted and selected, that's what you're working with. And then you can just hit the up arrow until it gets to the position that you're wanting that in. And when you have the size grid completed, you can click on the Save button down at the bottom. You don't want to go too crazy with creating a bunch of different size grids. That's why with that men's shoe grid, I created the very smallest size that we would possibly carry in the store up to the largest size we would carry in the store. And that's what you do in the Manage Grid screen. On the SKU level, when you go to Set Up and Manage SKUs, is when you can create and check the sizes that that SKU comes in. So if that shoe only comes in certain sizes, you'll be able to see the entire grid and only check those sizes that that shoe comes in. So this is what I'm talking about after we have created the size grid that we want. When we're creating the SKU, we have all the general information in here. We can click on the grid and we can choose. So we're going to go ahead and choose that grid that we created. And then we're also going to create and select the width grid. So as you can see, it shows all of the sizes within the size grid, and now we can uncheck the sizes that it does not come in just by unchecking those sizes, and you'll see the grid will shrink as you're doing this. And we can do the same thing for the rows. And there's your grid. And then we can just save that. And those are only the sizes that are available to order for this shoe. So getting back to the Manage Grid screen where we were at, if you ever want to pull up an existing grid and change something about it, whether you want to add sizes or change the sizes around so they're in a different order, you can just click on the lookup and the lookup button and go ahead and select the size grid that you're looking for. It'll come up on the screen and you can change what you want to change about it, whether it's the name of the grid or adding other sizes or moving sizes around. The only time you can delete anything is if these sizes do not have any kind of history attached to them. And that is how you create an initial size grid, add things to it, edit anything about it, or delete items from it.